Imagine a future where your thoughts directly control a computer. Or maybe where sight can be restored to someone who has never seen. This isn't just the stuff of science fiction anymore. Not really. Today, we're taking a deep dive into brain computer interfaces, or BCIs. It's a rapidly evolving field where, honestly, the very line between thought and action is blurring faster than ever. Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the incredible technological advancements driving BCIs, explore their real world applications, some are already transforming lives, and crucially, examine the significant ethical questions these mind bending devices raise. We'll be navigating the future of human machine interaction, everything from profound medical breakthroughs to potential societal shifts that could, well, reshape what it even means to be human. We've gathered a wealth of insights for you. We've got a comprehensive industry report by ID Tech X, Brain Computer Interfaces 2025-2045. Also, a critical review from the Johns Hopkins Berman Institute of Bioethics on the ethical challenges, a Forbes piece discussing transparency with a prominent BCI company. We've also included direct updates from that company, Neuralink, a research brief from the Geneva Academy on Neurotech Innovation and Ethics, plus extra perspectives from Capital Technology University and All Tech Magazine. So, yeah, it's going to be an extraordinary journey into the frontiers of the human mind.
It truly is. This is a field that consistently pushes the boundaries of what we, previously thought was possible. And what's particularly striking is the speed. How quickly these concepts are moving from the controlled environment of the lab into, well, real-world impact. We're going to explore not just the what of BCIs, but really delve into why these developments matter so much for all of us to understand.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. For listeners tracking this field, when we talk about brain-computer interfaces, what exactly are we defining? What are the fundamentals here?
Right. At its heart, a BCI is any system, really, any device or method designed to record or modify human neural activity. It works by coding signals from your brain and then translating them into commands to control some external electronic device. Think of electrodes or sensors. They can be placed on your scalp, maybe nestled within the skull, or even implanted directly into the brain itself, all feeding data into pretty sophisticated acquisition systems and software. It's essentially creating an alternative communication pathway between our minds and machines.
And as we know, not all BCIs are, well, created equal in how they interact with our bodies. Could you quickly outline the core differences, the trade-offs between non-invasive and invasive approaches?
Certainly. Yeah, BCIs broadly fall into two main categories, each with its own set of advantages and challenges. First are the non-invasive devices. These don't require any surgery. Common examples are things like electroencephalography, EEG, or functional near-infrared spectroscopy, FNIRS, even wearable magnetoencephalography, MEG. Now, while these techs are pretty well established for general brain monitoring, their full potential for BCI control is still emerging. They face challenges, data processing complexity, the physical barriers of hair, skin, skull that can weaken the signal quality. Then you have the invasive BCIs.
Right, the implant.
Exactly. These involve surgically implanting devices, usually electrodes, directly into the brain tissue or maybe just under the skull. This method gives you significantly more detailed and reliable neural information. It allows for much more precise control and stimulation. But of course, as you'd expect, this comes with a higher degree of risk. Surgical complications, infection, that kind of thing.
And what's interesting, something the Johns Hopkins Berman Institute points out, is that how a user perceives invasiveness isn't just about the surgery. It also includes how a device impacts their mental processes, their daily routines. How do these less obvious factors play in?
That's a really critical point.
Mhm.
A device might be surgically implanted, yes, but if it integrates seamlessly into a person's life, minimal disruption to thoughts or daily habits, its perceived invasiveness might actually feel lower than, say, a non-invasive device that's bulky or demands constant mental effort to use. It's a more holistic view of impact. And look, regardless of whether the approach is invasive or non-invasive, AI and machine learning algorithms are absolutely pivotal. They have to be. They're what process these huge amounts of neurodata, identify subtle patterns, and translate that raw brain activity into real-time commands. That's what makes sophisticated BCI function truly possible. Without these advanced algorithms, honestly, those brain signals would just be noise, indecipherable.
It's easy to talk about BCIs in the abstract, but our sources really show how this tech is already making tangible, life-changing differences for people today. Can you give us some examples? Where's the impact most visible?
Absolutely. The technology holds, well, immense promise for revolutionizing quality of life for people facing severe motor and speech impairments. Think spinal cord injury, quadriplegia, ALS, cerebral palsy. It's about giving them entirely new ways to interact with the world, often restoring a sense of agency they might have lost.
And Neuralink, based on their recent updates, shows some remarkable individual progress with their telepathy product. We've heard about participants like Nolan, who has a spinal cord injury. He can now skillfully control a computer cursor, play games, engage in complex tasks for like 50 hours a week, sometimes even over 100.
Right, and then there's Brad, living with ALS, nonverbal. He's regained this simple but profound joy of controlling a computer outdoors with his thoughts. He called it a huge blessing. Another participant, Alex, uses a BCI to control a robotic arm. For writing, even playing rock, paper, scissors, these personal stories aren't just anecdotes, are they? They really highlight, as Neuralink emphasizes, this profound restoration of daily agency and connection. It goes beyond just functional restoration. Exactly. And it's important to remember, as the ID Tech X report highlights, while Neuralink gets a lot of headlines, many other companies have been quietly pioneering these high-performance invasive BCIs for years. BlackRock Neurotech, for instance, has over 40 human subjects implanted already. They're making significant strides. Synchron is another key player. They developed the Stentrode. It's a minimally invasive neural interface. It actually has FDA approval for permanent home use clinical trials. It's actively being used by ALS patients right now to control digital devices, vital communication and control. Paradromics is also pushing boundaries. It's a really vibrant, competitive field. Lots of innovation, all working towards similar goals, restoring function, improving lives.
So building on that, what does this all mean specifically for neuroprostheses, for people needing physical assistance?
Yet, neuroprostheses are a prime application. We've seen invasive BCIs let tetraplegic individuals control complex robotic arms just with their thoughts, making really intricate movements. And it's not just controlling things. More advanced bidirectional BCIs are now allowing paralyzed patients to regain a sense of touch through neurosensory feedback, literally giving sensation back.
Wow.
Yeah, it opens up entirely new possibilities for more natural, more intuitive control.
And this idea of thought to text, it's moving from concept to reality pretty quickly, isn't it?
Yeah.
That could be utterly transformative for people with locked-in syndrome or maybe recovering from a stroke, communicating at what some researchers are calling the speed of thought.
Precisely. The ability to bypass speech entirely, translate direct brain signals into text, that offers an unprecedented level of communication for those who've lost their voice. And beyond motor control, there's deep brain stimulation, DBS. That's another well-established invasive BCI approach. It's already approved for conditions like Parkinson's, essential tremor, certain types of epilepsy, and excitingly, researchers are now looking at its potential for a whole range of other debilitating conditions, major depression, chronic pain, maybe even Alzheimer's disease. The therapeutic potential keeps expanding dramatically.
Speaking of expansion, Elon Musk talks about dramatically increasing human bandwidth, going from less than 1 bit per second to megabits, even gigabits per second, leading to things like consensual telepathy and even combining human consciousness with AI. I mean, this sounds like something ripped straight from a sci-fi novel.
Yeah, it certainly does. And he envisions very concrete products coming from this vision, like BlindSight, aimed at restoring vision to the blind. And not just basic vision, but potentially vision in multiple wavelengths. Imagine seeing in radar, infrared. He talks about superhuman capabilities, almost like Geordi LaForge from Star Trek.
Right.
These aren't just abstract ideas, they are stated goals for future products.
And Neuralink's ambitions don't stop at sight, do they? They're aiming for a whole brain interface, planning to access pretty much any part of the brain with multiple implants for conditions from psychiatric disorders to chronic pain and even direct integration with AI by 2028. Their next-gen implants might support over 25,000 channels each. That's huge.
It is. And this vision also extends to physical capabilities beyond just prosthetics. They have plans to integrate with Tesla's Optimus robots for full-body control, facilitate advanced limb replacement, and even bridge damaged spinal cord neurons to restore full-body function, potentially allowing paralyzed individuals to walk again. It really seeks to redefine the human-machine connection, aiming for a symbiosis on an unprecedented scale.
Okay, this technology is clearly revolutionary for pressing medical needs. Incredible hope there. But what happens when we look beyond medicine into non-medical uses? That dual-use dilemma.
Yeah, this dual-use aspect is a significant and rapidly growing trend. The market for neuroimaging-based lifestyle devices is expanding dramatically. We're already seeing consumer-ready headsets that monitor focus, mood, aid meditation, offering personalized mental wellness tools. There's also this burgeoning direct-to-consumer market for non-invasive neurostimulators, promising cognitive enhancement, improved well-being, devices designed to optimize attention, treat insomnia, maybe alleviate anxiety. It's definitely moving beyond therapy into augmentation.
So you could imagine gaming where your brain activity directly modifies the experience, makes it truly immersive. Or using BCIs to control your smartphone with your mind, making hands-free a totally new concept. The convenience factor alone could be immense.
Exactly. But then there's the more concerning potential, which the Geneva Academy brief looks at carefully. We're talking about things like neuromarketing, using neurodata to subtly influence consumer decisions. Or think about the workplace. Surveillance headbands tracking employee fatigue, maybe even predictive neurotechnologies influencing hiring decisions.
Wow, okay.
And the military implications are profound. Potential for augmented soldiers controlling drones with thought, or even detecting deception in interrogations. The range of applications extends far beyond what most people typically think about with brain interfaces. It pushes into deeply personal and societal areas.
With such powerful technology touching the brain itself, the organs central to our identity, the potential risks are huge, right? The Johns Hopkins Berman Institute's review brings up a really profound set of risks, beyond just the surgery.
Indeed, they meticulously outline 6 categories. You have the obvious surgical risks, hemorrhage, infection, hardware issues, malfunction, device erosion, then risks from the stimulation itself, headaches, seizures, but also something far more profound, potential personality changes.
Right.
Beyond those, there are unanticipated risks in any experimental research. And then the crucial concerns of privacy and security around brain data disclosure, hacking potential. And finally, they point to the often overlooked financial burdens for participants, post-trial costs, device upkeep.
That potential for personality or identity changes, that's a truly profound ethical concern. It's way beyond typical medical side effects, isn't it? How do we even begin to navigate informed consent when the effects on mood, behavior, identity, agency can be so atypical, potentially long-term, maybe even irreversible?
That's precisely the challenge. It really raises the question, how can we ensure truly informed consent when these effects are so unusual, maybe unpredictable? Patients need a really comprehensive understanding of these emerging risks, including potential personality shifts. They need a clear distinction between procedures that are purely research versus those with known therapeutic benefit. And critically, there needs to be a transparent plan for post-trial care.
And given that many brain disorders can impair cognition or communication, just assessing a patient's capacity to consent becomes incredibly difficult. Plus, there's that subtle but powerful pressure to participate when other options are limited. Or because of existing relationships with the clinician researchers, that can really complicate consent.
Absolutely. And another critical, often overlooked area is post-trial responsibilities. The Johns Hopkins report emphasizes this strongly. Researchers, device makers, funders, they have an ethical imperative to anticipate and plan for a participant's needs after the trial ends. This includes continued device access, maintenance, even removal if needed. But too often, trial budgets just don't cover these long-term costs. That can leave patients who might have significantly benefited facing substantial financial burdens when the trial is over.
So what happens if a device has dramatically improved someone's life, but then the trial ends? Or the company stops supporting the product, maybe goes out of business? Who ensures their continued care, access to compatible parts, device removal? This is a very real human concern for the people in these groundbreaking trials. Now, while companies like Neuralink often highlight their regulatory approvals and cautious pace, some experts, as detailed in that Forbes article, have raised serious concerns about their transparency, about how they communicate.
Indeed. Critics like Marcel Janka, an ethics professor, point out that updates often come via, well, casual social media posts. Rather than adhering to established scientific protocols like peer-reviewed publications or public registries like clinicaltrials.gov, he argues this approach, quote, sidesteps established protocols that underpin scientific integrity and actually risks setting back the entire field by eroding trust.
Janka even warned against a potential Cambridge Analytica scandal involving the human brain, emphasizing the huge implications for personal privacy and the potential misuse of all that brain data. It's a pretty stark warning.
It is. And other experts, like neurobiologist Raphael Just, while generally welcoming advances in medical neurodevices, stress that commercial neurotechnology, especially for non-medical enhancement, remains, in his words, completely unregulated. This raises serious concerns about privacy, access, and fundamental freedom of thought. It's prompting calls for new neural rights to protect individuals in this fast-moving landscape.
So if BCIs can genuinely enhance memory, maybe boost intelligence, or restore sight in multiple wavelengths, what does this mean for society? It's not just about individual enhancement anymore, is it? It's about potential societal stratification.
This raises truly profound questions about equality, which the Geneva Academy brief unpacks quite well. If these advanced enhancements are only accessible to certain segments of society, wealthy segments perhaps, it could dramatically worsen existing disparities, create entirely new forms of inequality. It's a concept sometimes called neuroprofiling, or the emergence of a stratified society, where cognitive and sensory abilities are divided by wealth, maybe creating an elite class of enhanced individuals.
And the idea of optimizing worker productivity with brain monitors or using predictive neurotech in hiring, it really makes you wonder about the balance between efficiency and individual dignity, doesn't it? How much control might we end up ceding over our own mental states? What are the long-term implications for autonomy?
Ultimately, yeah, this increasing convergence between humans and machines, even this idea of hybrid minds, it challenges our very notions of personhood, what it means to be human. It forces us to confront a fundamental question. Should society always follow a technological imperative? If something can be created, should it automatically be used? Especially if it might alter human nature, the very fabric of our identity. It's a debate that touches on philosophy, ethics, our collective future, deep stuff.
We've covered a tremendous amount today. We've traced BCIs from science fiction, really, to a rapidly developing field. It's a domain offering profound hope, especially for those with neurological conditions, while simultaneously opening up these incredibly complex ethical dilemmas around privacy, autonomy, societal equity. The ID TechX report projects this market to surpass, an astonishing US $1.6 billion by 2045. That reflects not just huge investment, but a profound and accelerating wave of innovation.
Indeed. So as we stand here sort of on the precipice of a future where our thoughts can directly interface with machines and potentially enhance our natural capabilities, consider this. What aspects of your mind, of your very self, would you be willing to connect, maybe modify, or even enhance? And what would you want to remain solely, completely your own? It's a question that invites all of us, really, to actively ponder the future of humanity itself, long before the technology forces the answer upon us.